So today I want to talk about um, my experience as a mother, being a new mom, um, and just to encourage those who may be trying to have kids and maybe in the place where they have been told they can't possibly, or just have situations that may cause them to not be able to have kids. I just want to be a safe space for you to come to and to get encouragement. Um, so first and foremost, my name is Brianna Fears, and I just want to share my experience with you all. So I will go back to November of 2021. I was diagnosed with PCOS, and I was pretty much told that I wouldn't be able to have kids due to the fact that I did not have regular cycles, and of course, if I didn't ovulate, then I wouldn't be able to bear children. It had been maybe since July since I hadn't had a cycle. So it was a little bit discouraging in the beginning, but I did talk to my husband about it when they told me that I wasn't going to be able to have kids, possibly because I have PCOS. And I asked him how he felt about it. I asked him, if he would still be okay, as far as our relationship, because I knew that he wanted kids of his own or a family of his own. So it was pretty difficult to even bring that conversation to him. And what was very refreshing for me is that he mentioned Sarah in the Bible, and how, God told her at her 90-year-old self that she would be able to bear kids one day. And, of course, Sarah laughed, like, what? I can't have kids. I'm old, God. Like, but for him to even say that to me was very encouraging, because it made me feel heard. It made me feel like no matter what, he would be there. Because he even said, if you couldn't, I would still be here. Of course, yes, I would want to have kids, but you just have to keep the faith, pretty much. And that's when he mentioned the Sarah story in the Bible, and it was a relief. We were out to eat, so it really it was hard for me to hold back my emotions at first, because I wanted my own family, and I knew he wanted his own family. And, there are a couple of other, backstory things that would, I guess, surround his decision of as far as wanting him to have his own family as well, which I'll get into that in another episode. But it was a journey, I would say, and a good journey, because after that talk, I prayed. I prayed constantly, like, God, if it's meant for me to be a mother, because that's, that was one of my main goals, being a mother and a wife, and having a family of my own, and just knowing that I didn't want to, I guess, leave this earth without being able to bear a life. Like, that's something that is a privilege, and a lot of mothers don't get that. And I don't want to say privilege in a negative, sense, but just the fact that a lot of mothers don't get that opportunity to bear kids and to be a mother. And I feel for them, because it's a beautiful experience. And it was a beautiful experience, being able to, have the opportunity. Um, but to go back to, the beginning part, we sat, we talked about it. I prayed, we had some prayer cards that came out in the beginning of the year. Well, end of the year, I'm sorry, going into the new year. And, I wrote on those prayer cards, God, again, if it's meant for me to be, you know, a mother, allow that to happen, you know, because that was one of my main things that I always dreamed, like just to be able to have my own kids. As you can see, she's so cute. But so I just kept faith and I prayed about it, and I even told God, even if it's not meant for me to have kids, I still thank you because, we can get discouraged and feel like God just don't care, and and I knew that something was going to happen. I just didn't know that it was going to happen the way it did. But I'm also still grateful because, so, you know, again, being that she told me I had PCOS, and if I wanted to, being that I had PCOS and if I wanted to, you know, bear children, then I would have to, eat better, drink enough fluids, which I was doing because I'm an athlete. So I never ate bad anyway, but it made me more aware of what I was not doing. So, for example, I was not drinking a lot of water because I was always on the go. I was always busy, always doing something. So, when I, had time to really sit back and look at the things I wasn't doing, like, of course, drinking the water or not eating enough fibers, not, eating enough vegetables. I ate fruit a lot, but I was not getting enough vegetables, getting enough, vitamin K and things of that nature. And so it caused, it could cause, hormonal imbalances and things of that nature. So I was a lot more aware of what I was eating and putting into my body while I was trying to, get pregnant. And so I want to say it was the second week or so of December, my cycle, did come. And I was very much so excited because I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't had a cycle since July. This would be the time to, go ahead and try to, make it happen. And so so we tried, and of course, because I'm so used to having irregular cycles, I was not aware that, I was pregnant. Again, I was an athlete, so a lot of things that, happen as far as the irregular cycles, things of that nature, I was used to. So, I went through um, pretty much my whole pregnancy not knowing that I was pregnant. I didn't have any morning sickness. I didn't have any weird food cravings. I didn't have any just normal signs of pregnancy. In hindsight, I guess I did have, sore breasts or nipples. And I also had, what was the other thing? Oh, acid reflux. But that came later, but I did have a little bit of it in the beginning, but I just, again, I wasn't aware because I like spicy food. So that was my reasoning. Like, okay, well, I just had something spicy, so and I just kind of brushed it off. And again, I was training because I compete in track and field still. And I was running hurdles. I was doing triple jump. I was doing all these things, not knowing that I was pregnant. So I didn't find out until May. And the way I found out was because we were at a track meet. I was helping officiate, and I just felt bloated because I was small. I've been small, my whole life. I want to say the time in December, I think I was about 130 or so pounds, maybe 135. So I was really small and, fit, athletic looking. So I wasn't showing at all. My stomach was still flat in May. Again, I was training, so she was not showing. Like I looked small. So I was at the track meet, and me and my mom, we're in the bathroom. She's like, "Oh, my stomach." I'm like, "Look at my stomach," like I feel like I've been working out, and I just feel so bloated. I don't know why my stomach not going down. And she was like, "Girl, you might be pregnant. Your belly button poking out." And I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm not pregnant." Like, girl, what? Because I didn't feel anything. And so that next day, I went on ahead and took a pregnancy test, and after the track meet, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like I actually am pregnant, like very, very pregnant, because you know how normally, you see people take the pregnancy test, and one of the lines are kind of faint, because like, okay, you might be pregnant, but no, they both were very dark, and they popped up very much so fast. So I was like, oh wow, I'm probably good and pregnant. And so I scheduled a doctor's visit with my primary, and she checked me, not really checked me, but we did another pregnancy test, actually two of them. And it came up really fast as well in there. And then she checked my stomach, because she was checking my uterus to see how high it was. And it was at my belly button. And she was like, "Girl, how did you not know you were pregnant? Your uterus is all the way up here, and you feeling your uterus, you might be 5 months, And I'm just like saying, like, what? Are you serious? Like, I've been pregnant since December or January. So she's like, "Girl, let's go ahead and get you in with the OBGYN, and get you a ultrasound set up and things like that." So I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is really happening. So again, I didn't get my ultrasound until May, which was about, I think I was like 25 weeks or something like that. And I was just like, wow, like I am pregnant. And so, I got my ultrasound, and I was able to see her. I went to another place, here in Jax, and it was called I forgot what the name of the place was called, but I do know that it's on Beach Boulevard off Kernan. If you are familiar with Jacksonville area, but yes, it was an experience, seeing her for the first time, and just it was a 3D ultrasound, so seeing her facial features, and I could tell that she looked like her father in the womb. Nobody else really was like could see it but me, but I could tell. I said, "Oh yeah, she's gonna come out looking exactly like him." But again, I was just very, I didn't know how to even show my emotion. I did shed a few tears, but I don't think it really hit me until I had her. Like, it was like, wow, I just brought her into this world, and it was just an experience. Even the whole birth, you know, I labored at home for a long time. I want to say it was about, because I went into labor 4:30 in the morning on September 23rd. And I labored at home until about 9 o'clock. that's when the contractions started to get a little, you know, difficult to bear. And then I said, "Yeah, let's go ahead and go to the hospital." So we get there, and I was only 3 centimeters, so I had to wait a little bit in the triage room. When they came back to check me, they couldn't tell how far along I was because she had dropped down into my cervix. So they weren't able to feel my cervix to see if how many centimeters I was. So they just went ahead and admitted me. And after that, they checked me a few more times. Since they couldn't feel my cervix, they went ahead and broke my water. And from there, I did get an epidural. I didn't want to, but I was so exhausted from being up 4:30 in the morning, having contractions, and just going throughout the whole day trying to walk and, walk her down and just being in pain. I was just exhausted. So I went on ahead and got the epidural. I did get a nap, but by the time I napped, they were coming back to check me. So I didn't get much sleep. So during the course of me pushing, I was, kind of in and out of sleep, dozing off. The epidural was not strong. I still could feel, the pressure. I didn't feel the contractions, but I did feel the pressure. I could still kind of move my feet and my legs and things of that nature. But I wasn't completely numb. So when I pushed, I did very much so feel her coming out. So, but it was a beautiful experience. I know that's probably so weird to say, being the person that had to go through, the pain and the hard part of it. But I rewatch, or I go back and look at the video of me giving birth, and I cry, or I cry, or I get teary-eyed every time, because it's like, wow, like that really just happened for me, and I prayed for this, and I was so grateful, like so grateful. Every time, even when she was in my belly, I would just rub my belly and just be like, thank you, God, because it was something that I prayed for and I wanted. And then God provided me the opportunity to be a stay-at-home mom. Like, things just kind of fell into place. I mean, and I know that's not the same for everybody, because we have bills, we have things like that. But as far as like what to expect after, there is going to be some pain after. I know people give the roses and unicorns and rainbows parts of the delivery and pregnancy and things of that nature. But yes, there's pain. Yes, there's times where you just want to go sit on the ice pack all day. The aftercare is what is the most challenging, because for that first 6 weeks, you can't sit in a tub. Like, you can't soak. Your body's sore. All you want to do is just sit in a warm, hot bath. You can't do that for 6 weeks, especially after a vaginal birth. But I believe they do the same for C-sections as well. But you cannot sit and soak in the tub, to relax. You have to take a shower. You have to, you can't actually wipe. You have to dab. It's a lot of things that you can't do, especially if you have tears, which I didn't tear bad. I had a really tiny tear. So it didn't require stitches. So that was, a great part of it too. Like, I was like, I don't want to tear, but I didn't have to get stitches. But because I did tear, it was, even though it's tiny, I still I couldn't wipe. Like you have to dab. You can't wipe. You just have to dab it. And that was a challenge for me because I'm one of those, like, I don't want to say OCD type people, but I like to wipe until the tissue is white. Like, so that was just a weird thing for me. And then it's very sore. Like, you can't, you know, be intimate with your husband for 6 weeks. Sometimes a little longer than that because it's sore. Like, it's not, you know, pleasurable when you're still in pain, you know, from pushing a whole human out of your body. And, you know, you don't even, sometimes you don't even want to, because it's like, oh, you know, I'm still hurting. And not that my husband, you know, did that. Like, we didn't do anything for a long time because he gave me time to heal, you know. And I appreciated that as well. Like, he didn't just, you know, as soon as 6 weeks was up, it was like, okay, come on, let's, you know, it was like, you know, he still gave me time to heal. And even after, you know, it was sore, it was painful, but it wasn't like, okay, I don't want to do this. You know, it was like, we haven't been intimate in so long, and I missed that. So it was one of those things where it's like, okay, let me just put myself in a different mental state so that I can, you know, enjoy this moment, you know. But yeah, I mean, it's not always unicorns and rainbows. It's not. You know, your hips hurt. You know, getting back into working out can sometimes be a task because, like, for me, I nurse, breastfeed nurse. So it is challenging sometimes as far as working out because she likes to be attached to me, but she doesn't like to, like, be all, like, you know, flipped over and moved around and stuff either. So I have to try to do things as far as working out that I can do with her attached to me in the carrier, which is not a bad thing. I don't mind it, you know. That's just the joy of having to adjust, you know, to having another human. Eventually, yes, I do want to get back into running, but I have to slowly do that and also still allow my body to heal. I still have, you know, little pains here and there in my hips because your hips shift and spread for the babies to come out and they have to adjust back. So you just want to give your body time to naturally get back to where it was before you had a human coming out of you. So, and don't, you know, be afraid to, you know, feel, you know, because I didn't and don't deal with postpartum depression. I have been pretty good on that because I do have support, and this is just something that I've always wanted, and I waited a while as well. Like, I am 30, going on 31 in a few days, so I waited a while, and I waited until I knew that my capacity could handle having another human to take care of, you know. So, you know, because already hard enough that we have to take care of ourselves, and sometimes we don't do a good job at doing that, you know. And being that, you know, I have, again, that support system to where I can sit her down, you know, with my husband and say, hey, I need to go take a shower. And in that shower is where I can, you know, just de-stress. And not that I am stressed, but sometimes we can be, like, stressed without knowing we're stressed. And I personally carry a lot of tension in my shoulders. So once I feel my shoulders kind of get a little tense, I'm like, okay, I need to de-stress. Even though I'm not necessarily like, oh my God, you know, freaking out, stressing about something. It's just, you know, subconsciously you're probably stressing about something and don't even know it. So that's my time to kind of get away and relax, you know, just go take a really hot shower, relax, you know, And then by the time I do that, get her ready for bed, and she's, going. So, it's an experience, and you know, I can't even say what to expect because you really just have to expect the unexpected. You know, expect to sometimes be up until however 12 o'clock until they go back to sleep, or expect to be up, you know, feeding, every 2 hours, not getting as much sleep in the very beginning. If you're gonna nurse, expect for it to be a little painful those first 2 weeks, but stick with it. Stick with it, because the first 2 weeks I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot do this because it hurt. Them latching on hurts. But if you stick with it, it gets better. Half of the time now, I don't even pay attention to it. She's latched on, she's eating, she's fine. Sitting there watching a movie while, and sometimes she'll fall asleep. So now it doesn't bother me at all. But it is painful. I'm not going to sugarcoat that part. It is very much so painful, but it gets better. You have to stick with it. I found that pumping, using the breast pump, does help with that, as well as getting the, it's called nipple cream. So you get the nipple cream, nipple balm, things of that nature to help soothe, your breast, because it is going to hurt those first few weeks. So, as far as being a new mom, the transition was not as bad, as I've heard that it could have been. And again, I had the opportunity to be a stay-at-home mom, which I'm so grateful for, because I'm able to not only use this as bonding time, but also, just be there and be able to watch her grow and be there for the experience of her growth, because I feel like we can miss out on a lot of their growth because we're not there. And it's not purposeful, and I do understand that, because we have to work, we have to get money, and a lot of mothers don't get the opportunity to be at stay-at-home moms. But even if you're not a stay-at-home mom, it's also just important as parents to always be there or be present in our kids' lives, and just making that time, and I know that in the long run that they will definitely appreciate that. Like, I know she's going to appreciate that we are going to be in a position where we're going to do our best to always be able to support her. And I know for me, that was one of my big things, as far as being a mother, because I want to always be able to support my kids. I think I set the expectation for myself, because that's how my mom was. Like, it didn't matter what she was doing, how tired she was. If we had a track meet, or my sister, she had a soccer game, or whatever case, like, she was going to make sure she tried to be there. Tired or not, like, she was there. Summer track, she was there. College track, she was there. Some meets she couldn't come to because she, was coaching herself. But she still was there in the sense of, oh, how did your race go? Let me call, how did your race go? What did you do? What did you run? Like, what was your time? She was there. So because she set that expectation, then I want to continue that with, my kids, and always making sure that I'm present as a mother. But yeah, so that's going to be it for this episode of A Safe Space with Breezy. Again, if you have any other questions or want me to go into more detail about, my experience with my daughter, or my marriage, my husband, how we both coped as being new parents, things of that nature. Don't hesitate to ask questions. I'm here because, I had that safe space, and everybody doesn't have that. So I want to be that safe space for mothers who just need some, just a listening ear or just somebody there, because again, being present, they say it takes a village. So just feel free to ask any questions. But I'm going to conclude this episode for today. Stay tuned for the next episode. I will have a guest speaker, which will most likely be my husband. We're just going to talk about both of our experiences as being a new parents, and then you all can get his side of the story. But I just thank y'all for listening, and I do pray that I am able to reach out to, a few people, or have reached some of you all now, and that you all, use me as your safe space. Toodles.